Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Feels good to be back home, back in Spokane. We were out in Gatlinburg for the Slam It Up event over the weekend, and we are back home now. So time to get back to work. Every time I leave out of town for a while, I always get back and just have random things to accomplish on the day we get back. Today we're starting off with pulling out the seat belts out of the M. This thing is so sick and I love it, and I think a different color seat belt would be cooler because as of right now they're just black. I'm not gonna tell you guys what color exactly we're doing. I'll show you when they come back in the mail. So let's go ahead and pop those things out, and then this thing's gonna just sit, of course, until the new belts come back. I actually pulled out the FRS. We have not driven this car since, I think it's actually slammed enough in Portland. That was a couple months back. It's kind of just been chilling, sitting, and not being enjoyed at all. And with the winter coming right around the corner, I'm trying to enjoy all of the rear-wheel drive cars before the snow flies. Next car on the chopping block today. This thing sounds cammed, but it's not cammed. So we gotta figure out why it sounds cammed, even though it ain't cammed. Also, drivability of this car, we cannot get dialed in. Chag is taking care of the tune on this thing. It's a very, very simple setup. ID 1300s, Walbro 450, stock rail, stock regulator, ETS kit with the 6266, and it idles like shit, and it runs, and it does not drive good. Being such a simple setup, we are thinking it's a mechanical issue. Being that we have a stock regulator and rail in the car, I'm gonna go ahead and pull off the regulator and rail setup off of a different 10, slap it on here. Maybe the base fuel pressure is just so outrageous, it's overrunning our regulator. So let's see if we can get this thing dialed in today, because we need to get this tune done. So like we expected, this car is sitting right at 60 PSI. I was about to say 35 PSI. Right at 60 PSI, base pressure at idle with the FPR unplugged. That is of course way too high. We want to be around, I think it's like 33 PSI. So it's nearly double of what we want. I need to go back in time, back onto my old videos. I've ran a 450 before multiple times. We have one on Jared's car with the factory lines. Now if we went to a -8, -6 setup, that would take care of the high pressure issue, but I don't want to do that. So I need to figure out what I did on Jared's car to get that pressure down. I cannot get base fuel pressure under 60 PSI. We did already drill the return orifice. All right, just went through the whole entire fuel system again. Ended up drilling out the orifice. Before it was 093, I just went up to an 099. Fuel pressure is now at 50 PSI idle. I'm gonna leave that. Update, regulators on, rails on, dampers on. She was chilling at 60 PSI, so I went ahead and drilled the return orifice to the same size I did on Jared's car. It's still at 60 PSI. So that's a little bit sus. I might just go to a smaller fuel pump, but I don't feel like it. I don't think that is the problem as to why the car is not running properly. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap the MAF from my other Evo 10 to this car and see if that fixes it. Pulled out the MAF to find a destroyed seal. That is probably part of the problem, if not the problem. Seems like it smoothed out a little bit at idle, but I'm gonna go on a quick drive and see how she feels cruising around. Not sure if you guys can read that, but that says ID 1700X. I'm not sure which is a dumber assumption, assuming that the oil pan on the Evo or on the E92 M3 was leaking when it actually wasn't, or assuming that this car had 1300s in it when it didn't. I'm sure Chag is going to be happy about that one. But the first revision with the 1700 scaling runs 1,000 times better than the 20th revision with the 1300 scaling. Imagine that. You might want to know what parts you're dealing with before you go to tune. So we did a few things today. We fixed the MAF O-ring. That was obviously, or not obviously, that was most likely leaking a little bit. We have the proper injector scaling. I did go back to the stock rail and regulator just because the other setup was off the Camo 10, and I want that setup on there because that's what it's tuned with. The stock rail and regulator will be fine on this car. And then we did drill the return orifice, so that should help with fuel pressure, getting it down to that 35 PSI mark. And right off the bat, it drives, like I said, 1,000 times better. Never would have guessed. Kind of sucks that we have to start over with tuning this car, but not a big deal. I know the setup is super easy. Chag will get it dialed in probably two or three revisions as far as drivability goes. As we're going back and forth with Chag getting this thing redialed in, I'm going through and fixing the little issues. First issue is a sticky shifter. So this is what one of the cables connects to on the trans. It's held on by two, can't talk. It's held on by two bolts. And as you can see, it's very, very stiff to move. Only when it gets warm though, for some reason. When it's cold, it's fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull off this 12 mil nut right here, grease it up a little bit, and we should be good to go.
I don't want to be on the camera right now.
Okay, can you just push my clutch pedal, please? Try to make it squeak. Ah, it's a squeak internally, not in the bay. Bobby, what's the matter?
I'm hungry.
Bobby, what's up? Tell the boys.
I'm just hungry.
You want to go get food? Hello? Bobby's been sanding down parts for her car all day and she's not having a good time with it. You want to tell them what you told me about sanding parts?
The level of how annoyed I am right now is unbearable.
A little bit of PB Blaster on some pivot points underneath the dash, and she is good to go. Bobby and I are gonna go get her food now. Next task is a quick alignment on the car. It needs it badly. This is my alignment tool. String alignment method. Some people hate it, but you love it if you know how to do it. Huh, Bobby? Now the idea with the string alignment method is just to zero out all of the toe. Of course, this isn't ideal, but if you have 30 or 40 billion different cars, you're gonna save 30 or 40 billion dollars every year doing alignments. So you want the string touching the front and back of every single wheel at the same time. Here's the passenger front. You can see it's hitting the front of the wheel, but if we go to the back, we have a massive, massive gap. That means we need to adjust the toe so the wheel goes from this to that. Rears are pretty good. This other front needs a little bit of work as well. And then this thing's gonna drive 1,000 times better. Alignment is done. Next thing on the list is alignment for the headlights. We put on the new HC Motions headlights, and I have yet to align them, so I'm gonna go do that right now. Bobby, I'm telling you, you should buy some. They're bright.
I don't like eBay headlights.
Bobby's talking shit. All right, low beam is all good to go. You can see the light above the low beam. That's coming from the inside bulbs right here, which as far as I know, you cannot adjust. So not much you can do about that. These don't put out a ton of light, I noticed. These of course do most of the lighting. So I don't think that's gonna blind people. We should be good to go. Bobby and I are gonna end the night off with a very romantic date, sanding down parts in the shop. We are planning on painting our car this weekend at our dad's shop, and we have a ways to go with all of these parts here as far as prep work goes. So we're gonna try to get a lot of this done tonight. As I was working on that thing all day, Bobby was over here sanding all these parts down. So all this stuff is ready to go, just a ton of little things. All this stuff needs a little bit of work, and then the body of the car as well needs a little bit of work, and she's ready to be sprayed.
Can you get me out?
Pull on the cable, the bottom cable, pull it. The front of it, this side. Yeah, that one. Now the very end of it, the silver part, pull on that. That's how you get out of your car these days.
Got it.
Is that ridiculous? Mm-hmm. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this video up right here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Shout out to Chagtoon for dealing with my dumbass. Shout out to Bobby for helping me prep out her car. That is gonna be sprayed this weekend. Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm ready to drive a car.
We still gotta fix your motor. But it's drivable. Peace out. I'll see you boys tomorrow.